Better funding, effective policing, the message of Minister of Police Affairs during budget defense. Minister of Aviation reveals new national carrier to be launched imminently. And flooding, House of Representatives launches investigation into ecological funds. MDAs continue budget defense as the House of Representatives resumes plenary. Now the goal is to sustain the January to December budget cycle. Thanks for joining us on You and Your Reps. I am Victor as welcome. The Ministry of Police Affairs and agencies under the ministry have a budgetary proposal of 871 billion naira for 2023. The Minister Megari Dingyadi at the Budget Defense engagement with the Joint Senate and House Committee on Police urged that the National Assembly should facilitate additional allocation for improved policing.
The minister is making the request to further improve infrastructure and logistics in all police formations across the country.
The demand upon the ministry is to carry out its mandate of ensuring adequate security of lives and property in Nigeria. The provisions proposed for this task in the year 2023, particularly for the main ministry and the Police Academy Wudil, are considered inadequate.
He gave details of budgetary releases to the ministry for 2022.
For purposes of implementation, actual releases to the main ministry in the 2022 budget as at date totaled about 1,701 million.
The synergy we've enjoyed with the Committee on Police Affairs of both the two chambers. So we are really proud of you.
The House Committee on Mines and Steel Development as the budget defense sitting with the Minister Olamilekan Adigbite was informed that the ministry is working with the Office of the National Security Advisor to ensure enhanced security on activities in the sector.
The National Security Advisor, on his advice to the President, that there is a ban on mining in Zamfara. So the National Security Advisor is aware of the problems of illegal mining and of course the attendant insecurity it causes, and is working on a robust proposal.
The most important issue this committee would like to raise during this budget hearing is how to revive the steel industry in the country. How is the 2023 budget of the ministry key to the revival of the steel industry in Nigeria?
The budget proposal for the ministry for 2023 is 3.2 billion naira.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Aviation, Hadi Sirika, has informed members of the National Assembly that a new national carrier will soon be launched. This was when the minister defended the 2023 budget proposal of his ministry before House and Senate committees on aviation.
This interaction is coming days after oversight of aviation sector by the Joint Committee of the National Assembly, thus places members in a better position to assess the ministry.
There are so many ongoing projects. Some of them are not captured. What is going to happen?
We have noticed with great concern the omission of one of the critical security and safety agencies of the ministry, the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, from the 2023 FGM budget.
The scorecard of Hadi Sirika is premised on the significant improvements recorded in the sector, with security of nations airspace being topmost.
Cost of aircraft maintenance, though worrisome, has been managed during this period. Furthermore, it's also worth to note there are more bilateral and multilateral air services agreements that have been signed for the benefit of our air travelers.
Meanwhile, the chairman, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, Abdulrasheed Bawa, at the budget defense, solicited for more funding so that EFCC could be steps ahead of criminals.
We are building a brand new EFCC academy and we need funding for that. Last year 3 billion was allocated and this year nothing was allocated for it, and that is why we are pleading to members. We have to learn, as fighters of crime, we have to be ahead of these criminals. And the only way you can do that is by training and retraining and retraining and retraining again.
The EFCC chief also pledged that the agency will continue to build on the covered grants.
In 1981, a special intervention fund was established as a lifeline to address high-level natural and man-made emergencies. The House of Representatives is interested in knowing how the funds were disbursed and utilized by agencies concerned and has now launched an investigation.
The federal government, all states and local governments, as well as agencies like NEMA, NEDC, NALDA, and the National Agency for the Great Green Wall are the statutory beneficiaries, and every month they take a share from the Ecological Fund, disbursed as the federal allocation meeting. The devastation of the recent flood disaster in 27 states has raised questions of accountability. This investigative hearing seeks answers to how exactly the funds were utilized over the years, going by near absence of infrastructure to contain the disaster.
The House mandated the committee to evaluate disbursement from the ecological funds and assess compliance with the objectives of the funds and our national laws.
Nigerian lives and properties are at stake. During our oversight functions in the past, the committee had provoked sentiments at different fora that all beneficiaries of ecological funds should always strive at managing the funds accruable to them.
The Office of the Accountant General of the Federation gave clarification on disbursements, as some states claimed ignorance.
But the current ratio used now is 52.68% for federal government, 26.72% for state, and 20.60% for local government. It might interest you. Maybe for lack of knowledge, for example, that 0.72 for states, that 7.2 represent the ecological element of states.
Going forward after today's experience, states, if they really want to apply their resources to the purpose for this fund is made, can come to federal government and copy the way they structure the ecological project office to be able to effectively handle ecological issues in the various states.
The committee has invited heads of some federal government agencies to appear.
Budget and appropriation are related words, but while used interchangeably by many, they do not exactly mean the same. Now that budget defense is ongoing, what are the differences between both words? Chairman of the House Committee on Rules and Business, Abubakar Fulata, will do the honors.
Budget is just a mere statement of intention of government and its agencies. This is what we are expecting this year. This is what we intend to spend. In most of the cases, what you are expecting may not come. And since what you are expecting did not come, what you will spend may not also materialize. Because most people think that because 1 billion was budgeted for a project, that 1 billion must be spent. You may budget 1 billion. When it comes to releases, that 1 billion may not be available. So you have to make do with whatever that is available. So the appropriation is the process of legitimizing, okay, the various allocations that the National Assembly will make to government's submission, which will now finally be translated into an act, making it a law.
The Chairman, House Committee on Information, has been speaking on the conditions of service in the Ministry of Information and agencies under it. He tells us that there is need to shore up the budget of these agencies.
if there will be war in any part of the country, before the war will escalate to a level, or before the emanation of that war, there are some privileged information, the security information that will come out for a serious government to treat it, and they will be able to, as early as possible, to know what to do before the escalation of the war. So then who is the instrumental to that information we are talking about? It's anybody that's shadowed with the responsibility of information gathering. And that is why when you are watching the war film, you will see where many journalists are attacked. Many journalists have lost their life in the front of the war because they want to get the information as it is happening. So if you can give the privilege to the Ministry of Information to be able to dig down and be able to give government information needed as at when due, definitely the government will be proactive in everything they are doing. Then who oversee the affairs of the journalists? Ministry of Information. So this Ministry of Information that is scheduled with these biggest responsibilities, government are not treating them the way they're supposed to be treating. Because of our efforts, then we have been able to increase the little they are getting to this level. Go and check the NOA. In the last assembly, I think the highest budget they will give them is maybe 40 million. NTA, I'm aware that there was a time their total capital is around 40 million. So what are we expecting them to do with the 40 million? We are practicing envelope budget in Nigeria. So it's only envelope allocated to them that will be available for them in the budget. The only thing the leadership of the National Assembly give us the power to do about as regards the budget, that if you think a capital project, a capital budgetary fund somewhere is of no necessary, then you can now move it to another area that you think is necessary. If you see anything in the budget that it is not correct, and you say, no, this is how it's supposed to be, then determine into the padding of the budget. But let us reason together and see how can we improve on what is on ground. However, all the reports is already been prepared that I'm going to present to the leadership of the National Assembly, or the leadership of the House of Rep, that they should look into this and see how can the National Assembly, the House of Rep can be of assistance to the Ministry of Information. If the leadership of the House of Rep are convinced about what I'm saying, about my proposal, then there's still a limit of what they can do. But I believe Honorable Speaker can come to my assistance in order to assist the Ministry of Information with little fund, for additional little funding into their budget.
And as the effects of the recent flooding continues to stare Nigerians in the face, we took to the streets to get opinions on lessons learned. Let's show you what we got.
There are things that you're supposed to do in order to prevent the flood, but people are not doing it. And also the government too also is contributed, because one, there are things like all this drainage and the rest like that. There are places that government supposed to construct the water drainage. You understand what I'm saying? But they are not doing it. And there are some places again that government constructed drainage, but people are what? People are dumping refuse inside, and this drainage blocked. So in the process of that, if water comes, it will overflow and cause flood.
I saw some people crying from Delta State and Bayelsa State. From there I said, No matter how cheap you can sell land to me close by the river, I will not buy it because I will lose a lot of money that I spend there.
The environment is sending a message to us, and part of it is what we're experiencing. High temperatures, high rainfalls, and unfortunately in some cases flood, because there is a unbalanced temperature across the world. So maybe we need to take climate change a bit more seriously.
People should not build their houses near the river. That's the problem.
I'm calling on Mr. President to look into the issue of dredging of River Niger and River Benue.
The climate is changing. We need to mitigate all these actions, and we need to be very serious about it.
This week on the committee segment, attention turns to commerce. We engaged Deputy Chair of the House Committee on Commerce, Richard Bande, on balance of trade among other issues. Here's what he had to say.
Commerce is the hub or the economic throat of any nation. Once you get it right, it is your balance of payments, trade, export and import balance system, whether the country is productive, whether it is a dependent nation, whether it is developed or underdeveloped. The major criteria to determine is the commercial activities of the nation. And we have been doing our best to oversight the agencies that fall within our purview, like NABSA, Nigerian Export Promotion Council, Nigerian Investment Promotion Council, vis-a-vis even the ECG, that is Export Promotion Grant. We have intensified and also do our best to make sure that the approvals from the Federal Executive Councils that come to us to work on it, we had action on it, and we have submitted our report within the timeline that is given to us. And if we look at the budget threshold and vis-a-vis the implementation components, as we were saying, if we look at it, even 2022 budget critically, you discover that the financing items or even the debt servicing items, to some extent, it is a greater percentage vis-a-vis the threshold of budget. So these are the issues that are also problematic to us, because budget implementation and formulation are two different things. In as much as we have a budget, but once it is not funded 100%, there have to be issues, and these are the issues that are affecting the smooth implementation of our budget. To solve this problem and ensure balance of trade, we are far from it, because in 2023 budget January, we discovered that more than half of the budget is committed to debt servicing and borrowing from the capital market or sourcing from international bodies, which is not the best. And we have to look inwards. We have to strengthen other agencies that have to add to the TSA of our country, or otherwise we're already moving or dancing with one leg. And if we talk about the trade and investment, the budget, it's just negligible. It's very difficult. Like the NABSA, agencies like NABSA, that last year they were having more than 20-something billion to take out of the free trade zones, that they will create conducive environment to attract investors to the country. They're having even less than 6 billion this year. And you know, if you actually want to ensure balance of payment, these are the areas, these are the places, these are the agencies that have to be funded very well to take the lead to move the country forward. And when you really look at the Venue Investment Promotion Council, you look at their budget, you see what I'm telling you is negligible. So these are the things that are affecting us. But if you look at our level of indebtedness to other countries, the developed countries, you discover that we have a problem. And we have to pay off. I know that it is the waning days of this administration. There's nothing that they could do. So, but we're praying and hoping that by next year, the people that will come on board should look inward and look at these issues with a view of addressing them. At the Lekki Free Trade Zone in Lagos, they are doing very, very well. Very soon, I believe, we will start yielding results. They will start exporting and even importing to the country. You know, a trade zone is a free zone, just like a country of its own. So the products there, once they are being exported outside, or even if it is in the country, it attracts duty and taxes on it, which will be very good for our own country. And they are doing very well. Apart from the security challenges, which is the 18, I believe it is the 18s, other is funding of the budget, the timely funding of budgets for the MDS to implement government policies and programs. This is also a problem, because as of October or even November, you discover that some projects or government programs are not even funded up to half, to 50%. So these are the things that it will make it very, very difficult. And you have the procurement process that last year we tinkered with the law to make sure that it accommodate the time like that. It will be reasonable for MDAs to do their own best, but all the same, the challenges of funding, timely funding of government policies and projects or even programs is a problem. You have to look at that. And then the general coordination of government policies. You know, government in the bureaucracy is very difficult. Sometimes there are a lot of activities that indulge in, so they have to move here and that. And then the delegation. When it comes to delegation, some people find it very difficult to delegate. So once they are not even on their seat, to make things move is a problem.
And here's hoping that the balance of trade improves in the coming years. Let's leave it there on You and Your Reps. We thank you for watching. I am Victor, as we'll see you next time.